Hey guys, hey, this is Anne-Marie. This is the Anti-HR channel. And I wanted to just say a couple things really quickly because I'm actually up on a really hard deadline. My accountant is going to kill me if I don't get some stuff into her to get my taxes done. So I'm not doing a long video. I'm doing a pretty short video right now. But I did have a couple things on my mind that I wanted to mention. I want to respond to a couple things. So first of all, I wanted to thank all of you who participated in Can HR Do That? The first one in the Anti-HR Online Community, which you can join as a member by visiting my website and clicking on Join the Anti-HR Community. Right now, I am giving access to folks who are subscribers, as well as folks who opt to be paying members. Obviously, if you're a paying member, there are lots of benefits that you get, and I'm rolling out new things. I will be announcing some new privileges that I will be sharing with individuals who are both annual and monthly members very soon. But we had a really good group join the Can HR Do That conversation on Wednesday. And I was very happy about that because I wasn't sure whether or not that was going to be the last one. And because we had such good turnout, it told me that people actually do want to continue to have me do that. So I'm going to continue to do it. And for now, it will continue to be open to both subscribers who are non-paying members as well as paying members. Obviously, in the community, paying members get priority. But right now, as we build a community, we will continue to allow people who are subscribers to participate in that segment. And what I have decided is that I am going to do Can HR Do That quarterly instead of monthly. I am, as you guys know, I'm a one-woman band. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small business owner. I own 2 different businesses. I run them both pretty much, I would say 95% by myself. I do everything myself. I built my website myself. I built the online community myself. You know, I always tell people one of the best things about going to law school is I learned how to do research. I learned how to figure out things and I do them myself. And so I'm busy all the time. It's a good kind of busy though, because when you're your own boss and you work for yourself, it doesn't always feel like work even when it is, but you also have to be very cognizant of giving yourself breaks, taking time for your mental health, not running yourself into the ground. And I'm very, very aware of that. And so I try not to overdo it. So we will be doing Can HR Do That quarterly instead of monthly. That means that the next one will be at the end of the next quarter. The next quarter starts April 1st. They're 3 months and a quarter. So the next one will be at the end of June. I'm getting ready to do some travel. You guys know I love to travel and I travel a lot. I have a travel advising business as well as this HR consulting business. And so I will be doing some travel in the second quarter of the year. So I will be pushing that segment to the end of the second quarter. And since this last one happened to take place at the end of the first quarter, I think it works out fine. We had really great questions. And the great thing about the way that we're doing it inside the community is that people can ask questions in real time, which I wasn't allowing on YouTube because YouTube was not my platform. I wanted to make sure that I could vet everything before I talked about it live on YouTube. But since we're doing it inside of my community, I can let people ask more freewheeling questions and respond to them very honestly and openly over there. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I hope that the people who participated enjoyed it. And for that reason, for now, I'm going to continue doing it. But instead of every month, it will be once a quarter. So for those of you who are interested, I'll probably send out a reminder to my subscribers and my members, probably about 60 days out and then 30 days out so that you have time to get your questions in, as well as getting your questions ready for joining the segment. So that was fun. That's an update on that. Then I want to respond to something else. So someone had asked a question in the comments about, I'm going to respond to 2 comments that people made where they asked my thoughts about something. I'm trying to keep this one light, so we're not going to be getting into anything heavy here. But someone asked me what I thought about dating at work. And I have, how many words? 3 words to answer that question. Don't do it. Don't get your honey where you get your money. That's my short answer. If you can, I'm sure that people do find love at work and that there are actually people who, meet their spouses at work. But in my experience, the most of the time, it's very messy. Needless to say, you should absolutely positively never get involved with your supervisor. And if you're a manager, you should never get involved with people that you manage. Even if your company doesn't have any rules against it, most companies do. But even if they don't, exercise good judgment and don't do that. But that being said, even if your peers, even if you work in a different department, I just strongly recommend that you don't get involved with people where you work. There's a saying, don't shit where you eat. That's what I believe. Don't do that. Don't get your honey where you get your money. I will give you a short story time. I remember very early in my career, I was a secretary, administrative assistant, and somebody in the department that I worked in asked me out. And we went out on a date, and immediately, like 10, 15 minutes into the date, I knew that I didn't like this guy, right? But for the rest of the time that I had to work there, I had to see him. Luckily, I didn't have to see him all the time because he worked on a different floor. But I learned my lesson then to never go out with anybody that worked where I worked, because it just could be awkward, especially if, one person's interested and the other person stops being interested, which was the case with me. Then you got to run into this person on the elevator. You have to run this person other places, and it might get kind of awkward. So while there are wonderful stories about people falling in love at work, I personally, as an HR person, from an HR perspective, do not recommend that you look for your dating pool in the office. There are lots of other places that you can meet people. I am not here to tell you where those places are, but as someone who has been in the dating world for God knows how long and am now happily single and intend to remain that way for the foreseeable future, I would say there are lots of places for you to meet people out in real life, online, etc. Don't do it at work. It just is an unnecessary complication, especially in these days and times where there are complications enough. I don't recommend that you voluntarily add that complication to your life. The last thing I'm going to talk about is something that I usually don't talk about. It's rare that I get involved in talking about entertainment, celebrity type news, because that's not what this platform is for. Sometimes I will talk about current events, even things that involve celebrities, because I believe that there are lessons to be learned from an HR perspective. And in this particular case, there are lessons, but also there's a bigger picture thing that I'm going to speak to. So someone asked me a question this week about the Breakfast Club, and I answered and told them that I do not follow the Breakfast Club, because I do not. And I don't watch the Breakfast Club except unless they have someone on there that I really am interested in seeing, which hasn't happened recently. But right after that question came up, something popped up in my feed with Jess Hilarious. And I feel like I've spoken about Jess Hilarious on this channel before in the context of something else. I think it was in the context of her transphobia, but I'm not sure. But I actually do follow Jess Hilarious on Instagram. And even though I have a lot of issues with certain things that she does and says, I realize that she's a comedian. I think she can be amusing. I don't find her to be hilarious, but I think she's amusing. I think she's young. She's from Baltimore. I lived in the DMV for a long time, and I like her. I think she's talented, etc. And it popped up saying that she was unhappy about something. So I watched the video, and it appeared that there was some conflict that she was bringing up relevant to a young lady who they had brought on, another Black woman, Lori, what's her name? I don't remember the girl's name. But I'm sure you guys who follow the Breakfast Pod and watch it probably know more about it than me. But the what I took from it, and maybe I'm missing something, because like I said, I don't watch the Breakfast Club. I'm not a big fan of Charlemagne. I refuse to call him the rest of his nickname, Leonard. I'm not a fan of his. I find him to be, an opportunistic person who, it's very clear to me, puts his interests ahead of that of the community. And when I say the community, I mean the Black community. That's my personal opinion of him. So I'm not a huge fan. So I used to watch The Breakfast Club probably like 5-6 years ago. I used to listen to it. I don't anymore. Unless there's somebody on there, as I said, that they're interviewing that I'm really interested in hearing from. But it was very clear that she appeared to be upset. I can't say it was very clear. She appeared to be upset in what I was watching. And she was upset about the fact that she had gone on maternity leave, which I was aware of because I do follow her on Instagram, even though I don't see a lot of her stuff in my feed all the time. I have to look for her because I don't watch her stuff a lot. But I knew she was pregnant. So she went on maternity leave and apparently came back. This person had been brought in as a substitute for her while she was out. But when she came back, the person didn't go away, apparently. And it appeared that she was unhappy about the way that it had been handled and the fact that I guess the news station, the company, which I believe is iHeartRadio, which is a huge corporation that owns a lot of radio stations, and not radio stations, but radio shows for sure. And I think radio stations as well, had made the decision for whatever reason. I guess it's all about ratings, I'm sure. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. That they decided to keep this person on. This person is apparently more of a journalist. And I watched some of the conversation between her and Charlemagne and DJ Envy. I thought that DJ Envy actually made some good points. But I stopped and thought about this from a big picture perspective. And the question you guys know that I ask a lot of times when I watch things is, who does this serve? Who does it serve for me to watch this? Who does it serve for me to believe whatever someone wants me to believe? Who does it serve? And I think more of us need to ask this question. And it became very clear to me as I watched her engage, and I felt that she came across to me as genuinely upset, right? Genuinely upset, not like she was acting. But I still felt that the whole thing felt very engineered, right? I really felt like this is not the kind of conversation and workplace issue that should be brought in front of the public. And so I had to ask myself, who does it serve for it to be brought in front of the public? Because ordinarily, this is something that you would have a conversation with your supervisor with management. My assumption is that Jess Hilarious has a contract, right? She's under contract. She can't just up and quit. And that the other parties are under contract, right? And so who does it serve? And what I feel like it serves the producers of the show. It serves those who are interested in ensuring that the show has lots of eyeballs and views and listeners, both on, wherever people listen to Breakfast Club, as well as watching it on YouTube, etc. And I felt like it was kind of exploiting not just Jess, who was clearly upset about the way that she felt the addition of this person, because it appears this person is now going to be a permanent member of the team. So it'll be 2 Black women and 2 Black men on this show. And this is one of the top, if not the top rated morning show, probably one of the top rated morning shows, and definitely the top rated morning show with a whole Black cast. But I felt like, who does it serve to pit these 2 Black women against each other? Why would someone not have this conversation off the radio? Why are they having it on the radio? Right? And so to me, I felt it felt manipulative to me. It felt like whoever the powers that be over there, who I'm sure are not Black people, decided that this would get them ratings. And so they decided that they wanted to have this conversation in the open so people could get in the comments and take sides. And this person will be Team Jess and the other people will be Team Lori, I think her name is, or something like that. Loren, I think her name is. And I didn't like it. It all feels kind of icky to me. And the scheme of things that is facing Black people, and make no mistake, we might be resting, but there is a lot happening that impacts us, especially those of us who live in the United States, those of you who live in the United States. In the scheme of things, this is very unimportant, right? But it feeds into some of the things that we see in the workplace, where people who are behind the scenes, who are, calling the shots, pulling the strings, right, are making calls and decisions that are negatively impact Black people, right? For the sake of making money, for the sake of ratings in this case, which converts into money because it converts into advertising, it converts into eyeballs, ears, and that's what all this stuff is about. We're once again seeing 2 Black women pitted against each other for somebody else's bottom line, and I don't like it. So that's my thoughts about that. I don't even care about the substance of the arguments of whether or not they should have added another person, whether or not, I think if, she came on she added whatever value she added that caused them to decide to make her the person who replaced Angela Yee. She went on maternity leave. Clearly, they're going to have somebody replace her while she's on maternity leave. Then she came back, and for whatever reason, they decided that this person was adding value in some way that she was not, right? Now, they could have bought out her contract. They could have fired her if they weren't happy with her. But one angle might be to let the public, some of the public's opinion, and use the comment section on Instagram and YouTube and other places to create a certain narrative, right? In order to get the pretext to get rid of her. I don't know if that was what the intent was. It looks like the short-term decision is to have both of them on, and now everybody's kissing and making up and whatever. But I feel like the way that they presented this, because as I said, this is something that ordinarily you would sit down in an office, or your representative, if you had an agent, this is the entertainment business, they would sit down with the powers that be and say, my client's unhappy or whatever. But you wouldn't bring this out in public. And so there has to be a reason why they did. And I think the reason is ratings. And so I personally find the whole thing distasteful. I think it's problematic. I think it's manipulative of the public. It's manipulative of Jess, who I believe her real name is Jessica Moore. I think it is manipulative and unfair also to Loren, right? Because it makes them all look like villains to a certain extent. And it's kind of asking people to take sides. And I'm not really going to take sides. I'm on the side of both of them because I'm a Black woman. I want both of them to win and both of them to find a way to work together and to not allow those in the back end who just want to pit them against each other for entertainment to not let them win. And so I think it's very important. I think that the entertainment business is a very, problematic business. And it's very important when you are in the public arena, in any kind of capacity, to always remember to protect a certain part of yourself, right? And that's the one thing I would say to Jess, is that you have to remember that the life you have outside of the Breakfast Club and even your comedy business is what you do in order to allow you to have the life that you want to have. But your other life, your family, your kids, the other things in your life, those are the things that are more important. And so if something happens and you end up not staying on that show, you're going to be okay, as long as you have yourself and your sense of self intact. And the same thing goes for Loren, right? And it's very important that we as Black women learn to stick together even when the powers of that be don't want us to. And so I really do hope that part of this is just for entertainment purposes. I know it's definitely for ratings, but it didn't seem to me like Jess was being disingenuous in terms of her unhappiness about the situation. And so I really hope that both of them will recognize that nobody wins. The one thing that Charlemagne says that I believe is true is nobody wins when the family feuds. And nobody wins when the family feuds in public, especially, right? There will be times when we have disagreements as a community, as family members, as friends. I think it's important for you to settle those issues offline, out of the comment section, off the radio, off the television, and not let people behind the scenes use you for entertainment, use you to make them more money, use you for ratings in a way that is harmful to you or harmful to your family or harmful to your community. So, and that kind of feeds into what I've been talking about of late, about how we relate to each other, how we treat each other at work, because as I said, America is going down the drain quickly. And the way that we survive this is by being in community with each other. And the powers that be will do everything that they can to not have that happen. And we have to do everything that we can to ensure that it does. So my perspective is that the takeaway from this is that even when they are those trying to pit you against each other in the workplace, you don't have to let them. And so the only thing I would say is that I wish that Jess had not brought this onto the radio or took that onto Instagram. Apparently she went live on Instagram and said some things and then ended up on the radio station the next day explaining why she had said what she said. Apparently there were people that weren't happy about what she said. I didn't see the live. I don't know what she said. It really doesn't matter. I just think all of this should not have been for public consumption. And that I think that when we have disagreements, we have to be able to talk to each other directly with love, but be honest, but it doesn't need to spill into the public sphere. And so I feel the fact that it came into the public was that somebody decided this might help them, first of all, put a better face on it, right? And also help them with ratings. It's always about money in that business. And so I just, all of it felt kind of icky to me when I was watching it. I didn't even watch the whole thing, but I watched enough to get the gist of what was going on. But like I said, you have to know who you are so that the things that people say in comment sections and things like that won't matter to you. I read the comments. People say negative things about me. Sometimes they say negative things about the guests. Sometimes they say negative things about members of our community that I don't care for. I just block folk and move on with my day. I don't give it another thought. I won't allow poison inside my comment section, but I also don't internalize the things that people say, because I have learned that what people think and feel about me is none of my business, honestly, and that I don't have to internalize it. I don't have to believe the good things any more than I have to believe the bad things, because you got to know who you are. And when you know who you are, all of these things bounce off of you, and it doesn't really matter. I'm here to provide a service that I wish that I had when I was working. And that's why I do what I do. I want to help employees understand their rights in the workplace. And I especially want to help Black women win in the workplace, know their rights, not allow themselves to be manipulated, used, and abused. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. All the rest of it for me is noise. The accolades and the complimentary words and all of those things, I appreciate them. I receive them. But even if I didn't get them, it wouldn't change what I'm doing. As long as I feel that what I'm doing is being helpful to the people I want to help, I will continue doing it. When I decide it's no longer useful, or I decide I need to do something else for whatever reason, I will stop doing it. I don't live and die by the comment section, but a lot of y'all will continue to get blocked. So my takeaway from what I saw happen is what I shared. I hope it's helpful. I'd be interested in hearing. I'm sure you all will tell me what you think of what I said in the comment section. But that's my little thoughts for today. I got to get back to what I was doing, but I wanted to make sure I just shared those thoughts with you, because I did not want to forget to respond to those comments and those questions that people sent to me this week. A big thank you again. Shout out to those of you who participated in Can HR Do That? A big shout out and thank you to those of you who have joined the AntiHR community. We are actually now talking in our forum together and starting to have conversations about workplace stuff. So it's actually I'm really excited about creating a whole community outside of a platform owned by people that, get to decide, today you're on, tomorrow you're off. I'm really happy to have the ability to create a community where I can talk more directly to people, be more honest with people. And I really appreciate those of you who have joined. And I hope more of you who are watching me here will join as well. So let me know your thoughts on what I shared, and I will see you guys in the next video very soon. One more thing before I go. Please make sure that you finish reading the book if you're going to do the book club. The book is Shattered American Dream. We will be having a conversation with the author in the community on April 3rd. So please try to get the book read. And that's a reminder to me as well, because I started the book and I'm not finished. But as soon as I get my assignment from my accountant finished, I'm going to sit down and finish reading the book over the next week so that I'm ready to have conversations with the author on April 3rd. So I hope many of you will join us in that conversation. If you're interested in being a part of the first book club conversation, make sure you buy the book, Shattered American Dream. I will leave a link to it in the description of this video, and make sure that you read the book before April 3rd. And also make sure you're subscribed to the AntiHR website so you can find out more about book club, when the session will go happen, what time, and how to join it. Okay? Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.